So this is a YouTuber I also haven't touched yet called jammidodger, who's got over 1 million subscribers. And this video is called The Transphobes Are Miserable. So I don't know, let's see.
Hey Spuds, it's Jamie. Welcome back to another video of Fast Video Channel. I don't know, but welcome either way. I'm very glad to have you here, and so is little Blowhigh in the background there. Today, we are diving into the world of my hate comments. Oh yes, I am a trans person.
Ooh, hate comments, great. Maybe you'll cry like Jessie Gender.
And on the internet, which means a lot of people sat behind their screens on their little keyboards like to say mean things to me because I'm trans. Shocking, I know, how dare. And I occasionally like to have a look at some of them, react, call them out, have a giggle, because most of them are absolutely ridiculously silly, and every single one of them is just wrong and rude.
Is this gonna be like, this is gonna be, you know the meme where it's like the meme man, he's crying, but he's got a face on, like a mask on in front of it, that's like grinning. This is gonna be that, the video. I'm calling it now.
So today we're just going to be having a little read of some hate comments. Yeah, and taking the power away from these anonymous trolley transphobes.
Or giving them a platform, I don't know.
Whoa. Dear Christ, I'm actually called Jamie. More batshit nonsense, this time in paperback. Oh, are they talking about my book, The T and LGBT, which at the time...
Ghosted Cosmic, hey, how are you doing? Let me just put my thing back. I think there's subtitles along the bottom, so let's do that.
You're watching this, it will be out in paperback, ready to order in paperback. Currently it's pre-order, but it's out tomorrow for me and for
Please stop shilling.
you like 10 days ago. But yes, my book, The T and LGBT, which is a part, if you want to, the link is down there. Thank you to this transphobe for reminding me to shout my book out every so often. Anyway, dear Christ, more batshit.
Listen, go on wvrmqz.bandcamp.com and buy my album.
Nonsense, this time in paperback from How Rude, That's Nasty, That's Just So Transphobic, without a word of explanation as to why. Without a word of explanation as to why. I don't just make videos going, here's a transphobic meme, how horrible, next. Here's another transphobic meme, how nasty, next. That would be really boring. I think I actually give pretty detailed explanations as to why things constitute as transphobia, and I very often include scientific citations and little images and texts to back up what I'm saying.
Yes, I want all the scientific citations as to why all your comments are wrong.
Because like literally science, medicine, everything supports trans people. So yeah, I don't...
That's a statement. What the fuck does that even mean?
Just go, ha, transphobia, how mean. I mean, sometimes I do, but most of the time I have something more to say than that. It's very easy to call out transphobia and actually give a backing to it. So without a word of explanation as to why, and all delivered in a smug, patronizing and condescending way reminiscent of a precocious only child parroting.
I mean, listen, hang on, what am I trying to say here? If this was just like a description of like some trans fucking YouTuber, then I feel like I'd probably be like, yeah, that's probably true. But to be fair, I don't know this guy's content, so, you know, let's not jump to conclusions, I guess.
It's adult. I'm not an only child. I feel like if it's taken as smug, patronizing and condescending, a way of educating around trans issues,
oof. That in itself sounded like kind of patronizing, not gonna lie.
Then those people just really don't want to listen. It's like...
That's a terrible attitude, but one that I feel is very common in like trans circles, you know?
Oh, I don't like what you're saying.
Actually, they sound like the spoiled, bratty only child is being like,
No, mummy, I don't want to believe in trans people.
when actually I'm kind of here going, hey, transphobia isn't cool, and this is why there's no reason to be transphobic. And people are like,
Oh, you're being so smug and patronizing, telling me I'm a bigot.
if you're a
Yeah, who could call this guy like smug and patronizing? That's like slander. How could anyone find this person smug or patronizing by the way that they're talking and the way that they're doing the thing and pitching the voice up? I'm detecting no patronizing or smug attitudes here. Fuck me.
bigot, I'm going to call it out. And if you don't like that, that's a you problem. Was that too patronizing? Sorry. And then there's another sentence.
Okay, there. He knows. He knows. These people know that they're patronizing and they don't care. They're here to educate you and they're here to preach that, hey, it helps to be patronizing, probably.
Where they basically named one of the handful of pick-me trans people. I can think of like 3 of them off the top of my head. I think.
Oh, one of the pick-me trans person. Listen, this is very educational. I'm hearing a lot of pick-me's today. I'm starting to understand where it comes from. Like when people throw that shit at me, you know. Because this guy must be very influential. He's got over 1 million subscribers. So we're understanding better the language of the trans activist or the trans YouTube viewer or whatever.
think there's maybe like 1 or 2 more, but there's really not that many. Of all the hundreds that are online sharing their experiences, as a collective, the trans community very much rejects these pick-me, internally transphobic
Really? Oh my god, this guy is like awful. What the fuck are you saying?
trans people. And they've named one of them.
You're like transphobic as fuck just for that. Like, Jesus Christ.
And been like, go watch this person for a dose of trans honesty and reality. You won't though. You won't though. That's a lot of commas, because it doesn't fit this echo chamber narrative. It's because it doesn't fit what the trans experience actually is. Those people are speaking
those trans people's experiences don't count. That's what you're saying.
From a place of internalized transphobia, of
How do you know? Do you know these people? Have you ever had conversations with them?
wanting to be liked by transphobes for some reason.
For some reason, I can't think why. Is it because it's actually not true and really nobody goes around trying to be liked by transphobes when they're trans? Like, if it sounds ridiculous coming out of your mouth, maybe it's because it's incorrect. Just saying.
And that's their own experience. And if they view their identity in a particular way that is not in line with the general trans experience, then that's their life. But they don't speak for the absolute vast majority of the trans community who completely reject what they're saying and their
Do they? Okay, sure. I don't know.
stances, because they're
This is like informational as fuck about the cultist shit, because he's hitting every like beat consistently. This is definitely a place where this shit comes from. Holy shit. I didn't expect it to be this like overt.
coming from a place of transphobia still. Trans people can be transphobic, just like gay people can be homophobic.
Yeah, you've been transphobic by writing off a bunch of people and saying that their experiences don't matter.
It's all internalized. So this person is like, try this one trans person I've been able to
He doesn't want to shout out any of these people and actually show what he's saying, but sure, he uses science and logic or whatever the fuck he said.
reality. Cool. That was an interesting one to start on. You're a woman. Unimaginative. No, I'm not. But thank you for leaving a comment. It really helps with the engagement. You're not a man, Jamie. And trans women are not women. Just had to get that bit in there. Thanks for calling me Jamie, though. You've said you're a woman in a different way. How much effort did that take? Good for you. If you didn't know I was trans, you wouldn't be saying that kind of thing. It's very bizarre. Blah, 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 blah. Thank you again for the engagement. I don't know if you saying bigot is causing me to dislike you because it reminds me of murderer, or the fact that you think you need to support the LGBTQ+ to not be hateful and can't just be indifferent, or your voice.
So this is interesting wording. You need to support the LGBTQ+. Well, what if you support most things but have a few disagreements? Usually that's enough to make you anti the LGBTQ+. So I don't know.
Sounds like a gay guy that likes fruity drinks. And just so you know, I can know a guy is bi or straight, but if they have that voice, it's just really annoying. Wait, so they don't know if they dislike me because they disagree with me calling bigots bigots, or if they dislike me because my voice annoys.
Because they disagree with me calling bigots bigots. Oh, this guy is like... The 1.11 million subscribers have gone straight to this guy's head. Jesus Christ.
Them because I sound like a gay guy. I don't really like fruity drinks, if I'm honest. I just like a good Coke Zero. I don't drink much else other than that and water. Sorry, not sorry if my voice annoys you. So you know if a guy is bi or straight, but you can't tell if they're gay. That's very interesting. So I think they're calling out a conversation I've had in a couple of videos recently where people are like,
I don't support trans people, but I love you. Or I don't support trans people, but I respect you.
and it's coming from this place of like, you don't though. You've gone out of your way to make this video, and yeah, you don't support, but there's also not, it's not very respectful to then be like, oh, because, you know, it's a sin to be who you are, I don't support it, but I do love you. And it's like, you don't.
I hate listening to these people talk about what's like respectful and not, because it comes across like their own respect for other people is like, it switches on and off like a light, depending on what you think about something. And just saying like one thing can be enough to to be fucking hated by someone like this. And yeah, I actually find these kind of people transphobic. I'll be honest. Like, this person to me is transphobic, because you don't want trans people to have their own voices unless they agree with you. And you'll fucking slander the shit out of anyone that disagrees with you. Like, to me, that's very transphobic.
Don't though. You're just saying that because you want to feel better about yourself and you don't want to feel bad about rejecting people. So I'm going to call a bigot a bigot. I'm sorry if that annoys you. I'd maybe question why personal offenses.
Because he's right, you know, he's just right. If he's calling someone a bigot, it's because they're a bigot. It's got nothing to do with either selling out to the fucking trans cult or having over 1 million subscribers, so now he obviously knows what is what. Because that doesn't really mean shit. I mean, fucking hell. Fucking Hassan Piker, how many subscribers has he got? Like, you know. Anyway.
Mistaken in that scenario. And I quite like my voice.
Or if you don't like that example, what about someone like Steven Crowder? How about that?
voice. I put an effort. I took testosterone to get this voice, so I'm happy with it, and I don't really care what anybody else thinks. It's just bizarre. Sorry, this one's thrown me.
You care so little that you read out that message and told everyone how little you care. Okay, sure.
Because I'm like, wait, they're very vastly different things to get annoyed about. Being called a bigot and then not liking my voice. Those are potential 2 reasons why you don't like me. Okay. Oh, just lots of throw up emojis. Lovely. How delicious. I don't know, should I take joy in making a transphobe feel unwell simply by existing? No regrets. That's such a lie. Good luck with your lifelong medicalization. And we don't say that to anybody else though, do we? Anyone else who has to take medication for prolonged periods of time or for the rest of their life, we're not like, oh, you chose this. You chose to be medicalized for the rest of your life. No, because people just don't believe that gender affirming care is necessary. But it absolutely is. And I'm significantly happier taking a little bit of testosterone for the rest of my life.
Yeah, of course you're going to tell us this on your channel where you fucking promote trans issues and like promote a certain way of thinking about trans issues, you know? Like obviously you're not going to say that you're miserable, are you? Like, come on.
I mean, like, it's a hormone. Everybody has hormones in their body. For the
everyone, I'm so happy. Folks, I'm so happy as a trans person. Don't you believe me? Don't you believe how happy I am at my transition? That I have a pretend vagina and I have boobs? Don't I seem so happy? Guys, I'm going to tell you how happy I am until you all believe me. I'm going to tell you how happy I am.
The rest of their lives. And a lot of cis people take hormone replacement therapy as well. Actually, hormone replacement therapy was created.
A lot of cis people take hormone replacement. Who cares? It's for a different reason that's got nothing to do with trans.
For cis people. Just let that sink in. And the no regrets thing, I find this so often with people who are transphobic, and specifically people who comment like this, where there's an arrogance of like,
I know you better than you know yourself.
I literally have no regret. The only regret I have...
Oh my god, hang on.
And the no regrets thing, I find this so often with people who are transphobic, and specifically people who comment like this, where there's an arrogance of like,
I know you better than you know yourself.
Has he not been doing this the entire video? Talking about how much certain kinds of trans people hate themselves. Like, oh my god. Oh, I actually felt a bit sick hearing that. I'm going to be honest, because these kinds of people are constantly doing this. This is like pure projection.
I literally have no regret. The only regret I have over my transition is that I didn't start earlier. Seriously, I don't know what else to say. I'm very happy, and I think the transphobes hate that. There's no such thing as...
I believe you.
Transphobia. Well, trans people exist. People can be discriminatory and prejudiced towards trans people, therefore transphobia. Although saying that, I would love a world where transphobia actually didn't exist, but in a legitimate way, where there was just no transphobia, not in the way that a transphobe would be like,
there's no transphobia. I can discriminate against trans people and that's just common sense. Ha.
But like where there's legitimately just no hate.
This is not like the stupidest argument. Who cares whether there's transphobia or not? Like, if you're going after someone for a certain thing about themselves, then yeah, they're probably going to feel attacked. It doesn't really matter whether it's transphobic or not, when it's a lot of other things as well, you know?
And discrimination towards trans people. It'd also be great if things like homophobia and racism and misogyny also didn't exist, but legitimately because they were just not a thing anymore. But transphobia is definitely still a thing with this person's definition. And
I'm going to overdose on soy if he doesn't stop. Jesus Christ. If all of you like the stream, you should all like my stream, and you should all subscribe to me on YouTube and on Twitch.
Doesn't change reality, miss. That comment was a bit of a miss. What doesn't change reality? What is reality? What is real? Oh my god. I'm eternally surprised by how upset people get over other people.
This guy's got it made, by the way. This is the easiest job in existence. Like, you know, selling yourself out to a shitty cult, pretending to be a moral human being. Like, fuck me.
Living their lives in a way that makes them happy and in a way that doesn't hurt anybody else. Because I don't want some comment of a transphobe going,
Well, being transphobic makes me eternally delighted.
Because no, it doesn't. It must be really painful to be that hateful and sad and just all twisted up about other people. And it does, transphobia does hurt other people, but being trans doesn't. And it just shocks me how baffled people are and how much people hate the fact that there are just other people out there living life a little bit differently and being perfectly happy and chill about it. I feel like there must be a big portion of transphobia or transphobes where it is coming from this place of just like not having the happiest lives themselves. That's just what it feels.
What was he saying earlier about other people like acting like they know you better than they know you know yourself? Like, this is his like language. That's what he does. That's what so many of these fucking trans people do.
Like, because people who have time to go online and hate on other people in this way, I will never think that you have like a happy and fulfilled life. Because if you did, you wouldn't be wasting your time hating on strangers on the internet for no reason, just for the sake.
Listen, I don't see the point in hating on anyone randomly on the internet. And if people want to think that's what I'm doing, they're welcome to. I know what I'm doing. I know what the point of all this is, and it's got nothing to do with hating people. But like, yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Just going to some random guy's comments being like, you're gay, lol, or some shit. Like, I don't know. You know, you make it you don't make it easy for yourself doing that shit. Take a bath, really. I had a shower earlier, unless you mean him, in which case I have no control over what he does.
Of being hateful. It's really bizarre behavior, and there are so much better, more fulfilling, fun, happy, wonderful things to do in life that don't include leaving comments like this. Cross-dressing does not change your gender, nor does cutting your bits off. Honestly, no, it doesn't.
Bye, loonies. All right, nice to see you. Have a good one, Emery Randall. Don't forget to subscribe. New videos every day.
I didn't have surgery, I didn't take hormones, I don't dress the way I dress to change my gender. My gender has always been the same. It's been the same since I was born. Cross-dressing? Interesting term. I dress the way that I want to dress. I had surgeries I take hormones, I live life in the way I live because I have gender dysphoria. And doing those things, like, I added as much as I removed, so I'm kind of neutral on the whole cutting bits off, and it's made me much happier. Yeah, but it didn't change my gender. It just made me feel so much more comfortable and happier in myself and reduce gender dysphoria greatly, because that's what gender-affirming care does. Of course you have no privilege. Why? Society is bending over backwards to cater to you, yet it's never enough. You poor, marginalized group. Society is bending over backwards to cater for you, but it's never enough. Please give me examples of society bending over backwards.
I mean, hey, they let intersex people in the Olympics, the Paralympics. There was trans people running in that. In America, then in schools, you can be a young boy and decide you're a girl now and compete with female athletes. There's a few examples of what you might consider like society pandering to us. So yeah, I mean, the point doesn't have no merit, but I don't know. You do have to like slap things down.
And if you're saying,
oh my,
excuse me, you do have to slap things down in front of these people, or they're just gonna be like, okay, what are you talking about? I've never heard of this thing before.
you, but it's never enough. Please give me examples of society bending over backwards. And if you're saying,
oh, it gets spoken about so much these days.
It's actually transphobes that did that. Transphobes are shouting very, very loud at the minute and making trans topics become very, very like at the forefront, and is mostly being used in politics to cover up all the shit things they're doing and ignoring behind the scenes. It's like,
Don't look at this actual genuine real life problem that we're not dealing with and we're just making worse. Instead, let's hate on trans people. Woohoo, distraction. Look, it's like, look over there.
Okay, as much as this is soy as fuck, I do kind of agree with that. Like, trans issues doesn't win elections. I'll say that much. Like, it just doesn't affect that many people. It's one of those loud issues that really actually doesn't matter all that much. So it's kind of, it's something that, like, conservatives will use when they're desperate, because things like cost of living and shit, they don't really have answers for. Like, they want the kind of shit that led up to that, so.
you know, in the words of Jade Essence Hall,
Look over there!
Where?
society is actually bending over backwards to start hating on trans people, because we've been here forever. Like, trans people have been
Okay, we're gonna go in the opposite direction and be victims. Nice.
using the correct toilets and public spaces for their gender for decades. Puberty blockers have been used for decades, and even
We always have to act like it's always been exactly the same, as if the population hasn't kind of grown over time quite exponentially recently. Like, I don't know.
longer for cis kids, and nobody's ever had an issue. Trans people have been transitioning for
And like cis kids, they take them for fucking precocious puberty. It's a completely different usage. I don't know why we insist on making that connection every time. You know, what cis kids are going on to then have their shit taken off, have HRT, all that shit, you know?
hundreds of years, and nobody's had this major issue that we're
Hundreds of what?
Puberty blockers have been used for decades, and even longer for cis kids, and nobody's ever had an issue. Trans people have been transitioning for hundreds of years.
Trans people have been transitioning for hundreds of years. I don't know about that at all. Like, did what we consider trans like really exist hundreds of years ago? I don't know. There might have been something similar, but it's always odd to see people like apply their current shit to like times in history to me. I'm not into the queering shit myself.
And nobody's had this major issue that we're currently seeing. Yes, transphobia has always existed, and trans people have been shunned and marginalized and discriminated against and hated upon throughout history and throughout society. But right now, we're having this real like
We're so put upon, you know?
culture war where trans people are kind of pitted as the bad guys, and it's very bizarre. So if you don't like hearing about trans people so much, then maybe we should all just calm down and let trans people have rights that are equal, you know, and treat.
Like, what rights are we talking about? I don't know. I can live my life. This guy certainly isn't fucking marginalized with the kind of money he's getting. Fuck me. I wonder if he has Patreon. Do we have Patreon? Nah.
Trans people fairly within society. And if we're talking about, so bending over backwards to cater to you, so that
I just love how these people can just throw out all these like bizarre like talking points. without having to actually justify any of them. Like someone was saying earlier, like, or I don't know, the voices in his head were saying earlier, like, oh, you might, fuck, what was he saying? I can't even remember. Oh, you just say everything's transphobic and rude without even commenting. Well, it's like, I'll agree that he doesn't really do that, but like, I don't know. What he is doing isn't a whole lot better. He's like spitting out a lot of things that he actually isn't justifying, but sure. And he has very much shown some major hypocrisy, so.
That counts for an American senator calling for the eradication of trans people. That counts for a puberty blocker ban that's currently going on in the UK. That counts for a 6-year waiting list.
I wonder what this guy thinks of, like, who was that politician during the riots that was saying something about destroying Israel, like, totally? I wonder what he thinks about, like, you know, more left-leaning politicians or whatever that say weird shit about, like, white people, you know? He's probably one of the people that does that. I can't prove that. I don't know if that's true. Don't quote me, but...
for UK trans people to even have a first appointment. That counts for the hundreds of anti-LGBTQ plus bills that are currently going on in the US. That's bending over backwards to cater to us. I'd love to...
Anti-LGBTQ plus. I mean, those could be anything, just to be clear. Like, when people are giving that much of a mass example, I don't even know if, like, I disagree with all those bills, because I haven't looked through them.
To see what actually bending over backwards to cater to us would constitute. I don't understand. And the reason why there are voices coming out, people like David Tennant coming out in support of trans people, is because there's so much, you're hearing more voices speaking up in support of trans people because there is so much hate. Because society isn't just not catering, it's actively trying to exclude trans people. So
is that true of society in general? I really don't know about that. This is pushing the victim button hard. Like, it feels, this is getting quite manipulative in a way.
Yeah. When you say cis, do you mean normal people? No, I don't. This is so sad. You were so pretty. That's so weird. It's bizarre on multiple fronts. Because, like, any photo of me that I post online, pre-transition, I am 16.
I'm getting majorly bored and irritated with this. What else happens?
And you can go leave a comment.
Listen, maybe he dunks on some chud transphobes and he's really based and I'm just jealous because he's got money and I don't, but I don't care. This is like insufferable. Like the part where he was like complaining that someone was like acting like they know him better than he knows himself, considering like the other shit he's saying about like how much people that he totally has had conversations with, I bet, like hate themselves and stuff. Like that's the most fucking hypocritical shit I've seen in one of these videos in a while. Like that was the mask slipping off. He must have not realized what he's been doing like that whole video and then saying that. He must have not realized how jarring that is. I don't know. I would like more people to understand what it comes across like when they make these kind of speaking errors or whatever. Yeah, there we go. Jammidodger. I found him pretty smug and patronizing, just like whoever commented said. So hey, he seems aware of it though, so it's good. It's good to be smug and patronizing if you're aware of it, I guess.